Shall we start? You happy if we start? Yes, you ready? You're not really awake, huh? Okay, beautiful people, I'm happy to moderate the next session about plain and easy language, ensuring accessible communication for all, helping your clients foster inclusivity and reach a broader audience. We have Milena and Jovana talking about this. Milena, spelta parenti, she co-founded Dema Solutions in 2018, where she served as a vendor manager first and then as a key account manager. Milena told me that she likes trekking, traveling, and practicing yoga, but also learning and reading Sanskrit.
Yes.
So, okay. Jovana is International Sales Manager at Dema Solutions. She lives between Rome, Belgrade, and somewhere else, depending on where she has to go and who she has to meet. She told me that she's called Miss Sunshine. Miss Sunshine, yes. My handwriting is still clear. Because her colleagues always see her smiling. So this is also how we're going to call her, Miss Sunshine.
Thank you.
She likes traveling so much that her family doesn't know where she is. So they stopped trying to understand and
track
her.
me.
So, without further ado, I will leave the floor to Milena, who is going to talk without my... yes, she has a mic. Milena, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon. I hope you're all on board. So let's go straight to the point because time really flies.
Can you hear on the back?
Can you?
Excellent.
Hear well? Awesome. So, the goal. The goal is avoid exclusion of groups of people based on their characteristics. So this is a very broad and complex topic to be handled. So we sort of splitted it in two perspectives. On one side, you have inclusion, which means conceiving, designing, and implementing events, places, and services so that they are usable by as many people as possible. On the other side, you have accessibility, which means giving the people with different abilities the opportunity to access places, events, and services, our case, which otherwise would be inaccessible due to their very nature. Example, you have a nice building, beautiful staircase, you need to have it accessible for someone who has walking problems. You build a ramp, you use an elevator. And also, when we focus about accessibility, this is what we are talking about today, you always have to keep in mind disability of different kinds and physical and mental health. So, keeping this in mind, let's have a look at our today's agenda. So we will first introduce you to the state of the art. So the current situation in media accessibility, standards and guidelines which have been issued and are currently reworked, fields of application, then mainly the differences between plain and easy to read language. They're a bit blurred, but still there are some, and real-life examples as well, and then we will finish with our own projects. So let's have a look at media accessibility in the world. Different countries have different legislation, standards, and guidelines. As examples, we took the countries our company is located in, so Italy, Serbia, and Spain, plus some other ones. And namely, we wanted to have a look at the UK and the USA. Don't be misled by the numbers, because both UK and the USA are absolutely at the forefront of accessibility landscape. then this is not life sciences, but still this sector, let's call it like this, needs to be regulated. Okay, we're in the language industry, we know the role of ISO standards, no need to talk about that specifically, but still, also in the simplification of the language, there are standards. As you can see, the ISO for plain language is brand new, 2023, and it's the first standard for plain language. For easy to read, we abide by the guidelines given by Inclusion Europe, UK, by the way. And if you haven't had the chance yet, have a look at their guidelines. They are really enlightening. Also, whatever is connected to the web, there is a standard which is quite stale, so 2012, and it's being currently reworked, and we're having release number 3. So, hope everything is a bit clearer, but we need to go to the hardcore part now, and I will hand over to my colleague Ivana.
Thank you, Millie. So, as my colleague Milena nicely said, to the hardcore part, or technicalities. So I'm sure most of you are already familiar with these aspects, but we need to mention them also in context of accessibility. So first, there are different formats of information, or how we call them in our introduction, fields of application. So we are talking about electronic, audiovisual, and written information. Speaking about electronic information, think of a website. Not only, but let's think of a website. Audiovisual information, so it's any kind of information that you can actually listen to or watch, like TV, streaming platforms, radio, and written information like brochures, leaflets, reports. So all of these types of information, they need different approach. So we could address accessibility. But there is one good thing, so the basic principles are actually shared. So they are common. So moving forward to audio, so just a second, yeah, electronic information. I'm getting confused with this. Okay, electronic information, well, as this track is audiovisual localization and we all live in a digital world, well, we could not to mention at least websites and downloadable PDFs as integral part of every or most of the websites, including our own. So let's put it again in the context of accessibility. So according to World Health Organization and Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 16% of world's population has disability. So just translating it into numbers, it's over 1 billion people worldwide. So with this large portion of people that has disability, so we need to create content having accessibility in mind. So this is exactly why, for example, easy to read language settings are increasingly offered as an option on websites, but not only. For example, our company is recording increasing demands in plain language service. That is for everyone. So think of a CEO, think of a manager, think of a professor, expert, anyone who needs fast and clear information, because nowadays no one has really time or patience to read very complex sentence structures, etc. So it is for everyone. So let's also clarify what accessibility in terms of electronic information means. It does not only mean being accessible to people with disabilities or people using assistive technologies like braille displays or screen readers. It also means being accessible on different devices. And not only. We should also think about functionality, if it will be accessed through a keyboard, mouse, touchscreen. So there are different layers of accessibility that needs to be addressed, and they are very well explained in web content accessibility guidelines that Milena mentioned in the beginning. So, moving to downloadable PDFs. So, again, in terms of accessibility, if you did not create PDF with accessibility on your mind, person using assistive technology cannot actually access it, cannot read it. So, how do we make PDF accessible? Well, actually a document accessible. The best way is to start from a source document, be it InDesign, FrameMaker, Word, you name it. But if your client maybe did not provide you with some, PDF remediation is also possible. It's a solution. So let's move on. Okay, audio information. Here, we put focus on people with hearing impairment. So, audio information, including subtitles, closed caption, SDH, or subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, they play a crucial role in making content accessible to individuals with hearing impairments. But it's a little bit, okay, let's put a bit more confusion into this. I'm sure that you are all familiar with subtitling closed caption, SDH. And for example, Netflix, one of the leading company, actually one of the streaming company with the highest standards for subtitles and closed caption, are, for example, putting subtitles and closed captions under the same heading. So this, for a person that already has some uncertainties about it, could create even more confusion. And to add up on this, different countries use different namings for these services. For example, in US and Canada, subtitles assume that the viewer can hear the audio but do not understand the language. While, for example, and that closed captions and SDH, that the viewer cannot hear the audio. And the most important thing here actually is to remember that closed captions and subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, they contain some non-dialogue information, like music, like background noise, speaker identification, etc. And this is exactly why it's important to refer to professionals who do know who could help you actually understand which kind of service is necessary for your product. So I really hope that this information did not scare you off or made you sleepy, because now we are getting to the core part of our presentation.
Which is written information. As I warned you before, it's a bit blurring everything. It's quite complex. So easy language is not that easy to achieve, must become easy. So at the decreasing level of complexity from the left-hand side, you will see plain language. Here we put in brackets B1. So plain language needs to be clear and concise. It's intended for people with a basic level of understanding. So it breaks down complex information into simpler terms, short sentences, active verbs, avoids jargon or technical language on one side. Then we go further on to easy to read, which is specifically focused on disabilities. And it involves a more profound modification of the language. Then you have AAC, augmentative and alternative communication, use of pictograms. I mean, this is outside the scope, but I think it's interesting to understand the way accessibility is going. Just for clarity, think of the safety instructions of an athlete. So let's clarify further. Let's try and clarify further. Okay, plain language and easy to read. What do they have in common? simplification of the language. But easy to read serves specifically as a very deep form of accessibility. So, and it involves both content, so simplification of the language, and also layout. So, for instance, you're going to follow the rules given by Inclusion Europe about the layout, text on the left, images on the right, no use of synonyms, large font size, no fancy fonts, as was already mentioned in the previous very interesting session. So let's see together how this is implemented in practical terms. On the left-hand side, you will see referrals for specialist care. On the right-hand side, an easy-to-read version, which, disclaimer, has not been tested yet. And so you see it's a lot longer, requires very often the creation of a glossary. Why? You are entitled to, you may ask. GP, general practitioner, is your local doctor, a referral, when your GP says you should see a specialist. I mean, let's not take for granted that what is easy for us, it's easy for everybody else. Also, this type, as Giovanna mentioned, it's beneficial for everyone. Let's have a look at this one. What you shall and what you shall not do in the simplification of the language. Easy. Red cross is a no, no, no. Green flag is the way to go. I mean, this is what we, as language industry, must understand, because words matter. We know that all too well, right?
Indeed, words matter. And proof of this is Museo del Prado, who approved the Article 49 of the Spanish Constitution, and they eliminated the word disminuido, I hope I pronounce it well, or handicapped, from the description of their works of art. And this is actually the message that they wanted to convey about inclusivity. And I believe that this is also the message that language industry needs to understand in order to be able to convey it also to other languages. So let's move to our projects, because I think we will be running out of time. Okay, so first time we tackled plain language was through our Spanish company, Link Multilingue. So we were assigned by Town Hall of Alcalá de Henares a project about simplifying the language for the signs appearing near monuments. So the original request from the client was we had the Spanish source file and in standard Spanish, and they asked us to simplify it. The second part of the project was translation into English, standard English, and simplified English. So what did we do? We asked the client, well, is it a plain language service that you would like us to apply here? So the answer was that they want to make it simpler. So what we did, we created 3 versions and we offered to the client the one to choose. And the one on the right-hand side is the one that client has chosen. And please also notice the change of the font. This is integral part of the plain language. But do not, like, if this is, I don't know to tell you if this is the best example of plain language, probably no. But from this very project, we learned a lot, and we learned how to address clients' requirements. We learned how to actually tailor our proposal. Then, moving forward, yeah, it's, again, so our Spanish branch office was assigned by Costa Brava Girona Tourist Board, a project about Costa Brava accessible tourism. So it was actually the rework of the already existing brochure that you will see, my colleague Milena already passed it here. So you will see it represents the efforts to create inclusive documentation, incorporating features like Braille translation, and wheelchair accessibility information. But not only, its inclusivity extends beyond this demographic. I'm sorry, going back. So here is the second part of the project concerning this accessibility, accessible tourism brochure and maps. So the work to be done was divided in few stages because we wanted to be sure that we addressed the needs of each target group. So like hearing impaired or blind people and deaf and hard of hearing people. So we have brought here this brochure. So yeah, I see that they are moving around. So if you take it in your hands, you will feel this Braille version translation, and you will also notice the QR code on it that if you scan, it will lead you to a page that will that has also audio description of each tourist site. So, but how do we ensure we are doing it right, Millie? Go on.
Of course, through quality assurance. I will need to rap like Eminem. Okay, the role of AI, we all know it's key right now. Okay, starting PDF remediation. Adobe, not only Aqueduct, others, offer wonderful automated tools to remediate PDFs. Does it work 100%? Out of our experience, not really. But, I mean, it's a great tool, but it still needs someone to check on it. Same for plain language. Generative AI is making wonderful job. Still, it needs a fact checker. I wanted to say bullshit checker, but I'm not saying it because of the audience, of course. Yes, fallacy. And the difference is in easy to read. At the moment, today, you still need representatives from the target audience to validate your effort. This is key so far. There are many researches being made right now. It will change, most probably. But as far as we are concerned right now, we can assure it also because we're not alone. Very thankful for the expertise and very happy of the cooperation with the University of Macerata in Italy and ALI, Accessibilità, Lingua e Inclusione. They are entrusted, among others, by the Arena di Verona. No time to go through it, but you have, if you take a pic of the link, then you can go through the whole libretto of La Traviata in Italian, sorry, because it's that. And also, this is a very interesting adaptation. I wanted to tell you something very beautiful I went through, which was an adaptation of the Swan Lake. I don't have time, otherwise Carlo is hitting me in the head. But if you're curious, come over to me. I will take 10 minutes to tell you this. It's great. Also, we are working with the university. We have been selected as a referral, as language service provider for post-graduation language students for their master in accessibility to media, arts, and culture. So I leave the takeaways to my colleague because we're running out of time.
Wait, well, okay, just to wrap up. So simple language is not about oversimplification. It aims for broad comprehension and fast communication. And remember, it's for everyone. So benefits individuals, companies, organizations, public, private sectors. It also demonstrates company values, attracts enhancing image and attracting clients and employees. And of course, very important thing, it complies with legal requirements. But what companies in language industry can do? Let's move back to what's already been said. So let's not forget about the synergy between AI and human in workflows. And let's not forget about use of MTPE for plain language, like think of a simple sentences, repetitive terms, dream for any empty. So is there anything else we could do? Well, we are actually doing, we all heard for can't read, won't buy concept. And basically in terms of accessibility, it could be also translated to can't understand, won't go for it, or be it life, trip, experience, you finish the sentence. And this is exactly why we need to work on improving customer communication and making information accessible for all and leaving no one behind. So Thank you. Was it like Eminem?